Placeholder textures, unfinished landscapes, unreleased content, and even inside jokes have become something of a treasure hunt for gamers who enjoy utilizing a free-floating camera. Scrapped ideas can be deciphered, unused bosses can be found, and snarky memos between departments can be seen. Blizzard's World of Warcraft is known for its treasure trove of pop culture references, hidden areas, and secrets. While most of these Easter eggs are meant as rewards for travelers who take the time to explore the expansive zones of WoW, some of them are unused or scrapped content that was easier to leave in the game than it was to take out. One such example is the spooky dungeon of the Forgotten Crypt. There's been a lot of speculation about why this particular area was never made accessible to players, but the most compelling is that it might have changed the game's ESRB rating. With some of the most disturbing content you're likely to find in all of Azeroth, Blizzard probably would have had to raise it to an M if they left this stuff in. The most notable bit of horror is definitely the infamous and aptly named Upside Down Sinner's Room, a flooded chamber full of corpses that have been chained to the floor as their bodies float towards the ceiling. But that's just a little too grotesque to fit in with the rest of the game. Most players can say at one point or another in their gaming life, they found themselves glitched through a wall or a floor in-game. Sometimes you just get stuck, and sometimes you simply fall into an open endless void until you die and respawn. Dragon Age Inquisition has plenty of glitches, but some players who fell through the floor found something a little different from the blank space they expected. In fact, an endless void may have been less frightening than what was down there. A gigantic pie with a face and a top hat lurking underneath the castle. If that creepy piece of dessert wasn't eerie enough, the game developers began chiming in to inform gamers that several more versions of the Lord of the Pies were hidden elsewhere in the game. We've already found them though. They are haunting our nightmares to this very day. The Slenderman games are the types of titles that seem to be more fun to watch someone else play than go through yourself. Mostly because every interaction with Slenderman sends most people sprinting into a blind panic. Most people.
Oh, there he is!
What do I do?
Run away!
Oh, he killed us.
Some players who are savvy enough to try to beat the system and get out of Slenderman's grasp in Slender the Arrival, however, found that the consequences for cheating were as bad as playing the game as it was intended. If a player finds themselves out of bounds in Slender the Arrival, whether by choice or by glitching through the boundaries, a message will appear on the screen in the familiar untidy Slenderman scrawl. It reads, "Not even a bug in this game will save you from me," and is quickly followed by the Slenderman's arrival and an instant death for the character. If even a programming glitch can't keep us safe, then how do we know a thin screen like this one will stop him? Yikes. The Call of Duty franchise has a huge fanbase, which means that it also has plenty of scrutiny from players exploring every piece of it, whether they're meant to or not. If a programmer hides an Easter egg in a Call of Duty game, it's a safe bet that the fans will find it sooner rather than later, even if they have to break out of bounds to do so. In the 10th installment of the franchise, Call of Duty Ghosts, players found that if you use a spectating free-floating camera to explore beyond the bounds of the shipping containers in the freight level, you can find 3 items sitting on the ground: a stop sign, a hammer, and a clock. The message is clear: stop, hammer time. It's a pretty weird thing to hide, but by keeping it just beyond reach with objects that a player might ignore without a second thought, it's one of the more difficult Easter eggs to find on your own. At least you get a reward of having MC Hammer's classic "You Can't Touch This" stuck in your head for the rest of the week. The Resident Evil franchise has been terrifying gamers since the dog through the window jump scare of 1996. As the games have evolved, however, they've only gotten more horrifying, and 2005's Resident Evil 4 was no exception. That's what makes the Easter egg that wasn't discovered until 12 years after the game was released so interesting. If only because we can't tell if it's an unexpected bit of comedy or a dark, sinister secret. Nearly a dozen years after the original release, a bizarre texture was found in a distant building. Using a free-roaming camera, players were able to identify the figure in the building window as a man in a coat. But who the man is and why the image was included in the game is still unknown. Many assume this person is a developer who wanted to sneak their likeness into the game. But even in a game full of unsettling moments, having a mysterious character pressed up against the glass window of the building, peering out to where the player character is located, might just be the creepiest thing in there. Whatever the reason, the image was included in the finished game. It definitely adds an air of mystery to the atmosphere. As AAA games get ever larger and more complex, it's only natural that one or two things might slip through the cracks. That seems to be what happened in Irrational's BioShock. While closing in on Andrew Ryan in the first game of the franchise, some players discovered a very specific chain of events with a strange consequence. It involves lowering your health and then managing to die during a cutscene so that you respawn outside of Ryan's office. Something that's definitely not supposed to happen. Developers apparently weren't counting on the player suffering lethal damage during a crucial plot point without any actual combat. If they do though, they can find the message, "If you can read this, Paul Hellquist did not do his job. Love, Klein." Maybe Klein should have added a "would you kindly" to his request to fix this particular bug.
Would you kindly? Powerful phrase.
Timesplitter's Future Perfect was a bit of a cult classic among PS2 and Xbox gamers. Because the game itself is a mostly straightforward affair, the bizarre Easter egg found in one of the levels is that much more out of place. Within the breaking and entering level of the 2005 first-person shooter, players are tasked with defending a room where Amy Chen resides. However, if a mod is used to enter the room before the defense sequence is triggered, the room is actually empty, save for 6 floating bananas. This odd find made players question why in the world a game like Timesplitters would need a room that looks like something straight out of Donkey Kong Country. Even weirder is that while the bananas are always there to start with, they vanish when you enter the room in the correct sequence. Since the enemies that players are protecting Chen from appear to shoot directly at where the bananas had been only moments before, it has been speculated that they were placed there as markers for where the NPCs should be shooting. Seen out of context, however, it looks like the game developers just decided that everyone could use a little more potassium in their diet. The Grand Theft Auto series is full of pop culture references and Easter eggs, from the beating heart of Liberty City to the hidden Sasquatch in every GTA game. Most of these are relatively simple to find if you're willing to put in a little effort, but there are a few hidden behind walls that need to be glitched through to be seen. Inside of the gun store, Ammunition, in GTA Vice City, a complicated series of motions will allow you to see a hidden billboard through the wall that is otherwise inaccessible. On the left side of this secret billboard is a photo of former leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, with several bullet holes shot into the sign. On the right side of the billboard, players can see a photo of former US President Ronald Reagan, holding a gun and giving the camera a thumbs up with his free hand. While it's unclear exactly why this Easter egg was hidden behind the wall in the game, it fits right in with Vice City's mid-80s Cold War setting. The map in 2015's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is a sprawling, expansive area filled with places for gamers to explore, and the Blood and Wine expansion only brought more secrets to be uncovered. One Easter egg in particular gives longtime fans of the series a glimpse into the creative team behind the popular Witcher franchise. There's an unexpected extra hidden at the top of Mount Gorgon, and since that area is otherwise inaccessible to players, a PC mod is required to reach it. If you do manage to teleport Geralt to the top of that distant mountain, you'll find 2 red pillars, and between them, sitting on an easel, you might be surprised to see a photograph. The picture depicts the developers behind the Witcher games, and since the Blood and Wine expansion was some of the last in-game content to be created for The Witcher 3, it's a sort of goodbye to fans. It's pretty difficult to get to, but it's in there, and that means that for the most dedicated and curious gamers, these folks will be immortalized forever, or at least until the next patch. If you think that all of these weird out-of-bounds Easter eggs are an aspect of games that only started in the last few years, then you should head back to Big Red Racing, an MS-DOS title from 1997. Mostly, it's what you'd expect from a late 90s racing sim. The pixelated racetrack and cars are all pretty straightforward, but by taking your car out of bounds and exploring a bit, strange things can be found. At the starting line in the Japan map, players must refrain from actually competing in the race and instead veer off the racetrack altogether. After that, take a sharp right and head towards the setting sun. As long as you make sure to avoid any water hazards along the way, players will eventually come across a hilly area, with one hill in particular bearing a picture of what appears to be a horse, or maybe that's a dog? It's hard to tell. Either way, the emphasis there should be on eventually. One of the things that makes this particular Easter egg so bizarre is just how long you have to drive across all that empty land. The map is surprisingly huge, which is itself pretty weird when you consider that there's no real reason for the game to be taking up this much space. All told, it takes nearly 2 minutes to get there driving at full speed, and there's absolutely nothing to tell you there's even anything waiting for you at the end of your journey. That's about as hidden and out of bounds as it gets. The Call of Duty franchise seems to be one that enjoys hiding Easter eggs in its maps for players to find. Just as a small teddy bear was found next to the MC Hammer reference in Call of Duty Ghosts, more bears are littered around the maps in other Call of Duty games. By the time Modern Warfare 3 came out, the teddy bear Easter eggs went from small bears to bears that take up entire buildings. Many of these hidden teddy bears can only be seen by breaking through the boundaries of certain buildings, or by using the spectator free-floating camera. Because of one teddy bear in particular, a theory has arisen regarding the meaning behind this prominent Easter egg that has spanned several Call of Duty games. In the map mission, a teddy bear can be found with a child's drawing beside it. The teddy bears also now all have stars over their hearts. It's known that the young daughter of one of the Call of Duty game developers passed away during the development of Modern Warfare 2. Many believe that these small and large teddy bears that have been hidden out of bounds, as well as in difficult-to-find locations around the maps, are in memory of her.